Hello, welcome to Make Kind Loud, conversations that turn up the volume. Today we have Vicki Morgan. Hello, Vicki, how are you?
Hi, thank you, Louise. I'm doing great. Thank you. So glad
So I'm
to be here.
I'm glad you said you're saying yes. And after all the technical difficulties here.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to read your bio and then we're going to jump right in.
Sounds great.
All right. Vicki Morgan has spent 25 years in public relations, writing, and media relations. Professionally, she's worked with all types of organizations and public figures across the country to effectively tell their stories. Storyteller and encourager at heart, and places importance on striving to do all things with kindness. She is a strong believer in the power of authentic kindness in all relationships through her faith in God and her intentional focus on seeing the good in others. While Vicki recognizes that it's possible to meet that mark 100% of the time, she's determined that it will never stop her from trying. She has unexpectedly experienced the positive results of choosing kindness and sees how taking the high road, even when it's hard, is the best road. Join us as Vicki explains her brand of kindness through practical examples and perspective that have the power to change how you view your ability to make a difference in the lives of others through a legacy of kindness. So welcome, Vicki. I love that.
Well, thank you so much. I really believe that there is a place for intentional kindness. I love what you're doing. Congratulations, by the way. And I'm actually sitting in a space. You're welcome. I'm actually sitting in a space that's very near and dear to you because you're about to be here in just a few weeks.
Yes. So it's going to be at the drug board in Richardson. I see Bob Marley behind you, so they go in there and broadcasting. It's a beautiful spot, right?
Yes, and it's so creative. I love that. I mean, I wish I could, show everyone what it looks like. It's phenomenally, conducive to this kind of thing, and I love it.
Fantastic. So tell us about your legacy of kindness and what does it mean to have intentional kindness?
My personal example is, my history and my journey was that I, have grown up in a, generational family of, just people who really, try to instill in me the importance of kindness and being a good person. And my own personal experiences that, has been through my family's faith. Generations of Christian family, influence in my life. And at one point, as a young child or younger adult, I made the decision for myself. And so that everything I am and everything that emanates from me comes from a place of a filter of being a Christian. And so I can't be separated from that. And a lot of that kindness was, the legacy to me. And so I try and spread that however I can. And I think that there are so many reasons today and so many reasons that are really important to do everything you can to try and be kind, even when it's not, comfortable or it's not probably the easiest route to take.
Right, because sometimes it can be difficult.
That's true. I mean, sometimes you find that, kindness is really easy. With some people, they're just so, ingratiating and they're so nice and they're kind and it's easy to be nice to them. And then in other situations or with other people and individuals, sometimes it's a little harder. And that doesn't mean that you don't try. It doesn't mean that you personally don't try, because I think of it in my terms as being, I'm accountable for my actions and for myself, And so, I'm just always going to try, even if it is hard. And again, I think that comes from a place of seeing, from my family and my friends and, people pouring into me, about kindness. You and I have talked about, as even a young girl, my parents, we lived in a state away from my great-grandparents and my grandparents. And so my family would encourage me to write letters or send, drawings and color. And before I could even write, we would send them letters. And my great-grandmother was especially influential in my life. And so when I would go to her home, we would oftentimes in the afternoon, she would just share things with me, and she saved every letter that I ever wrote to her. So part of my journey is that one day when I was a young girl, she pulled them out of a box and asked me what, if I had any idea what has, a commonality in all of these letters. And I wrote them when I was so young, and I didn't know. And she said, I'll tell you, she said, at the end of each one of these letters you wrote, or you do something that said, I just want to see everyone in the world be happy. And so that's coming from a young child, and it's kind of stuck with me. And so I thought, even then, that had to mean something. Everything happens for a reason to me. And I believe that, I've always kind of, gone back to that and thought, I need to try and keep that moving, because in some part of what my DNA is right now and what it has come to become is, being kind and helping others be happy,
I love that. And I love that it started when you were a child and you didn't even realize that you were signing those letters. I just want everybody to be happy. That is beautiful. And it's even more beautiful that you're girls and that you got to go back and look at them and see where it all started. So I love that. And that's the legacy of kindness too, that you wrote letters when you were a child. She saved them and showed them to you as you got older and said, what is the common thing through that?
Right. And it's, obviously it's an impossible, thing to do for, everyone in the world. And, as you grow older and you learn more things and you're having more experiences, you understand that. But it's important to take those one, moment at a time opportunities to be kind. And, missing the mark is exactly right, because I miss the mark a lot, but that doesn't mean that it's ever going to keep me from trying. And it's
exactly
the mantra that I think is a huge one for me.
And I think that's true, because we all miss the mark, and we all have those moments where we could have been kinder, we could have been better, but that shouldn't stop us from in that very next moment to be kinder and better.
Sure. It actually can be used to propel us to do, more things that are, intentionally kind. And that goes back to, when you enter a situation, it's kind of a moment by moment kind of mindset, because when you enter a situation,
for sure,
you don't know. I always think, okay, how can I try to make an intentional effort to leave someone or leave a situation better than I found it? And again, I think that's a little bit of intentionality, but then it becomes, after so long, it becomes part of who you are, and you do it without thinking, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I believe that kindness is a muscle. The more you work out, the stronger you get, and then the easier it is to use it. Because, lay the foundation, and you worked it out so much that it is, it's just in nature to you.
Yes.
But again, it does that sometimes, even though you have worked and even though you are a kind person, that sometimes you have to make it even more intentional to be kind to the mind frame that you're in. You know what I mean? Like you have to be even more intentional.
Yes, I understand that definitely.
So tell me, so you have 2 daughters.
I do.
Who you have taught about kindness, and you say that you preach to them and heard the message. So tell us about that and your
probably. Yes, they have I think a running list of Vickyisms and things that, as they've grown up, they're now young adults, and it's kind of the water on the stone thing, but they often remind me of the things that I say. And one of those that comes to mind, as you just said, that is when I speak to the girls when they were younger, and we would talk about things that would happen, or maybe not positive things, and how they handle it or how they wanted to handle it. I would always let them know that please don't become that which you don't like. right? So if someone is unkind to you and you don't like that, you know, it takes sincerity, but be kind to that person, because you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what situation they're facing when, you know, they go into another situation before you. And, you know, all of those things have kind of been, that I guess they're kind of ingrained in what they would say. I say all of the time. And, you know, particularly also that, you know, in exhibiting kindness, Louisa, it's a, you know, you don't really, people can only bother you to the degree that you let them, right? So that's another one of the things that I think the girls would say, is something I say all the time. I still say it, I guess. But if you return, you know, acts in kindness, I think that's just, you know, it's a huge victory, and it doesn't even have to be something remarkable or great. I mean, it's just living every day with kindness, I think is
right.
really important.
I agree with that. And then that goes back to the legacy again, because
right.
you're leaving that legacy for your children, and then hopefully they will teach their children, and then it's just going to be generational.
We hope so, yes. I think that's great.
Yeah, at least that's all right.
Yes, yes. They're you know, great people, you know, at heart. And you know, I'm just really proud of not only, you know, and I would say too, not only with my family, but when you think about it, Louisa, you also you know, if it's hard for you to think of ways to show kindness, or you might feel like it's not sincere or you're forcing it or something, I think it's always important to find people in your life who will encourage you, and people that you see doing it well. And those people, you know, I think about a particular college mentor who's meant so much in my life. And he actually kind of picked up, you know, from where my parents and my family left off when I entered college. And he was, you know, completely kindness. And that, and Dr. A, if you're watching, thank you. He's still very important in my life. And I just think I would surround yourself with people who, you know, you know, show me who you run around with. And you know, a lot of people say that can explain who you are, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And if you're the people who are around you who don't want to go to that next for whatever reason in this moment, then it's okay for them to stay where they are and you to do what you do. But you have to be willing to accept that and keep moving, right?
Right. And it's not kind to hit someone over the head with your message, you know.
Yeah. So you're about to embark on something pretty cool. So tell us about what you're doing. I know this is out of your comfort zone right here. So thank you for being on the show. But tell us why this is out of your comfort zone, and then what are your next steps?
Well, in the past, in my, you know, profession, and my, you know, definitely being a parent and all those kinds of things, you know, my life has been behind the scenes, you know, much of the time, and, you know, working with people and making things happen, but really never being on podcast or public speaking necessarily, unless I'm asked. And then I'm feeling, you know, I feel completely comfortable doing that. But I just have always been placed in situations where I, you know, helped others get their stories out, you know, as a storyteller, and, you know, messenger of positive messages and things like that in ways that will resonate with other people. And so a few years back, it occurred to me that one of the things that I often say in my family is, you know, if there's ever a controversy about what's going to happen next, in this family, we always take the high road. And again, that's one of those things that you say, and you're not always going to make that mark, right? You're going to miss it sometimes, but the intent is that we will always try and take the high road. So I started thinking about my faith and how, you know, we are sons and daughters of the King, yet we, my faith in God, we wear these crowns as, you know, but they're crooked. You know, we're not perfect. We're very imperfect. Very imperfect. and yet I try. So that's when I came up with the idea of possibly doing something with a brand of a encouragement, inspiration, you know, called High Road Royalty. And so I
love that.
Thank you. I started doing a few things with it, and then of course I stayed very busy in my life and the life of my family, and so I've now decided that we're going to, you know, be releasing that and doing a hard launch of that later on this year. So in 2019, we'll see more of that. I already have a Facebook page going. If anybody out there wants to follow, please do. We'll be adding more things to it. And hopefully it's just an encouragement. And also, you know, people like you, Louisa, you know, I want to talk about, you know, people who are actually making their mark, you know, in the world by understanding that it is important to take steps to, you know, be kind, to take the road, to, you know, do things that are sometimes uncomfortable if they're the right thing to do, you know?
Right.
So yes, that's coming.
I love it. I think it's a fabulous idea, and to live it, which is that's the first step, and then to be able to, and then to be able to pass it on and to share your knowledge and to share your passion and to share your beautiful things. So I applaud you for that, and I think it's going to be amazing, absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait for the launch. So I'm excited for you.
Well, and I know you'll be a big part of that too, because, you know, I'm always looking for, you know, people who can say things in such a way that resonate with others. And you do such a great job of that. And I love your.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because the thing is, you know, right, you're trying to make an imprint on the world by making kind loud. And when you make something loud, you know, in my world of public relations and branding and that sort of thing, when you make something loud, and it's something very good, that means that people hear it, they see it, and you're trying, you know, through your brand to, you know, open people's eyes to the fact that in this world, you know, today when we deal with a lot of things that make us very impersonal, I think you know, even technology and things like that, what you're doing and making something loud is taking kindness to another level, because people will hear that. You know, whether that's in act or in deed. And I do think that it's important to surround yourself with people that, I mean, look for people that are doing what you're doing and then be with them, you know, surround yourself with them. And, you know, again, I wanted to say what you do is really cool, because it's not about what you can gain from it. And I think the act of kindness, you know, I'm thinking about, and particularly the unexpectedness of it, right? Because you speak about making kindness loud, and how I would say that most of the time, if I ever do something kind, I don't. You really sincerely do it for the other person or the situation or whatever the case may be, but I never really thought much about what I would get in return from that, because I never expected anything. You do what you do because it's the right thing to do. And I have seen just trifle things that have come back to me that I, you know, can't pinpoint exactly, but I do think it comes back around. And in some form, you know, when other people show me acts of kindness, I know a lot of people talk about, you know, being in drive-thrus and someone pays for their meal, and you know, that's happened to me before a lot of times, and I'm looking behind me going, okay, what? I don't even know how that happened, but you know. And so I do think it's sometimes unexpected, and then sometimes you're kind to someone and you're making that loud to them, and it's only them because they notice it. And so, you know, sometimes I've had people just break down and say, you know, thank you just for smiling at me, or, you know, it's just been really a hard day. And, you know, one of the ways that kindness is hard is sometimes when you don't know someone, right? Because you don't know how they'll receive it. And again, I'm not talking about, you know, remarkable, you know, huge things. I'm talking about little, even small things, right, that make up who you are. So, you know, I think that's a really cool part about it too. It's just so unexpected.
I agree, and I agree that it comes back. So yes, kindness is beautiful because it's selfish in a way, but selfish in a good way. And what I mean by that is that even though you're being kind and wanting to help someone else, the feeling that you get from that act of kindness. And then again, you never know what happens in the future and how those ripples go out. But ultimately, they do come full circle and back to you. And you don't know, like, it's here with this one little kindness that I did, and it has made a full circle, and now it's come back. That's the beautiful thing about it.
You just never know. But I think that's a very, I think it's a great way to look at it, because sometimes I've been totally shocked. And, you know, when someone had really no reason for doing something kind to me, even though it's how I, you know, it's a mantra that I try and live my life by.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, you're doing amazing things, and I think it's just a matter of keeping the messaging going, and living it, and then people see it. It is not something that is boastful or braggadocious. It's just who you are as a person.
Well, and I think that's true. It eventually becomes who you are as a person, and that's never a bad thing. I mean, how much, you know, at what point do we ever say, wow, there's too much kindness in the world? This has to stop, you know. There's too much going. There's too much of this, and I think that's one of the things that's tremendous about it, because you never, you know, said no one ever, if you will. And I love that.
Yeah, I love that. You're absolutely right. I've never heard that. There's just too much kindness. Who
I don't think
who's doing all these kind acts? How dare you?
Right. Well, and I think too, you know, when you think about that, you know, there's certain, you know, things even with young people, you know, and it's, you know, maybe they're not, you know, around a lot of people who are encouragers or who are, you know, showing them kindness, or, you know, I come from a generation where that was, you know, part of my history, but not everyone did. And I completely understand that. But so sometimes people are like, you know, really not, they don't understand. And so that's where it goes back to, you know, who do you choose to be around? And if you want to impart, you know, wisdom or kindness or whatever upon, you know, just other people, young people, or, you know, whatever, you know, I think it makes the world a better place.
I agree, and I appreciate you and all that you're doing. I'm excited about High Road Royalty, and I think that is going to be fabulous. So definitely, I definitely want to be a part of that when it's at launch, and we can collaborate and make beautiful things happen.
Yes, I would love that. And thank you for doing what you're doing. The Kindness Summit's going to be amazing.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited about it.
I mean, I wish I could be here. I'm actually in Dallas, and so that's where the drawing board is, where you're going to have your summit, but I'm out of town that weekend, so I'll miss it, but I'll catch up with it for sure.
For sure. So thank you, Vicki, for being a part of this. I appreciate you and your heart and all that you're doing in the world.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, and just keep walking in kindness, because the world needs more people like you, for sure.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome. So thank you guys for watching. Tune in next week as we have another show of Make Kind Loud, conversations that turn up the volume. We look forward to seeing you then, and everyone have a beautiful day. And remember, it is up to each and every one of us to be responsible for the energy that we bring to every single situation. So let's get out and make kind loud. See you guys next week.
Thank you.